My name is Joe Bandel, and I am the last Rosicrucian. Tonight we're going to talk about Oak Advantage number 7, prosperity and happiness goals. Life is a universal standard to which all people are subject. When you think about it, life has existed on this planet ever since cellular life. And it's never stopped. All it's done is grown more complex and more complex. And it's sacred. But it's also like a fire that consumes and it leaves behind what it's consumed, but it continues. And our children carry on after we're long gone, but life continues. It's like there was this spark and it just took off. And it's the vital life force. And that same vital life force that flows through a single cell creature, cellular life, that same vital life force, that same fire flows through each one of us. And that's that same desire to live. And life is more than just a home or something like that. Life is full spectrum. We have many needs. We have a full spectrum of needs. There's 7 rings to an atom, potentially. And that means 7 chakra centers, 7 types of energy. And life exists within each of these types of energies. You have spiritual energies, which are archetypal, coming from just the first inner ring with hydrogen and helium. So it's just black and white. Then you have the mental energies, the creative philosophical energies, 8 of them, 8 sensory units. And the next electron ring, the next chakra center, 8 more. And that's conscious awareness. Conscious awareness we say we have 5 senses, but there's 8 because that electron ring has 8. After that, you get into the emotions, and the emotions, each electron ring, each chakra center has 18 sensory units. That's why the emotions are so much richer than the mental creations. The mental creations in our awareness is limited to 8, both in our normal awareness and in our philosophical awareness. It's limited to 8. Where the upper emotions and the lower emotions, the next electron ring, they both have 18. It's so much richer, so much deeper. And below that, number 6 and number 7, you have 32, which means physical life in its entirety as we sense it, as we live it. And we're not talking emotions, we're just talking physical life. It has 32 sensory awarenesses. And the etheric, which is at the bottom, the outermost electron ring, that's just as rich, just as deep, just as much. And when you look at somebody who's just living in their head and they don't have any connection with the earth center, with the sacral chakra center or the root chakra center, they're they're hardly alive. Every chakra center adds to our experience of life. And I don't know about you, but to me, the richness of life comes from the full spectrum of what we can possibly experience in full awareness if we develop that awareness. That means we start out with a strong foundation. Now I've got some notes here. Life has existed continuously since one-celled life forms. Life is like a fire that consumes and goes on and on. I've mentioned that. Life, conscious human life, is the standard on which every oak concept is based. The wisdom of life, organic Gnosticism. Life knows its way. Life finds a way. It always has. It always will. Life is sacred. Living in your head is not, unless it's connected to life itself. How does this relate to prosperity and happiness? Human beings need to fulfill basic needs like food, shelter, and health. It's impossible to reach the higher goals if your basic survival needs are not fulfilled. You need to know where your food's coming from. You need to have shelter for you and your loved ones. You need to know they're safe, that they're healthy, that you are safe, that you are healthy. If you're struggling with these basic survival needs, you never have a chance to reach those higher goals. You start at the bottom. And these survival needs, these basic survival needs, are root chakra issues. They deal with root chakra awareness, root chakra values. It's where the power is. And the new age that's just dawning, the new age that has just started, at the beginning of every age, the root chakra center is first. It's the dominant energy for the next 2,000 years. Then the next one up will fire and that will become dominant. But we are living in a world where the root chakra is the dominant energy. And we need to not only integrate, we need to integrate and empower and become aware and begin working with that root chakra energy. But to do that, we have to create clear energy channels of communications from our awareness down to those centers. We can't be living in our heads with no connection to the earth. It does not work. It cannot work. It's a recipe for disaster, especially when you're thinking 2,000 years, this survival energy is the dominant energy. This is where we need to be focused. And it's pretty simple. It's the basic survival needs how to find food, how to earn food, how to get your food, how to defend yourself, and basic first aid, how to take care of an accident if something happens instead of just standing there helplessly when you could do something that might save somebody's life or your own life. Those three simple things: basic survival skills, how to cook a meal, how to choose the foods that are healthy for you, self-defense skills so you don't have to be afraid every time you walk out the door. You know you can protect yourself. You know you can protect yourself and your loved ones. And first aid so that you have a fighting chance. And we're not talking mastery even. What we're talking is general competency. That's not so hard. It's difficult, but it can be done. And when you have those three, when you're competent in those three areas, guess what? You feel good about yourself. And when you feel good about yourself, you have a good self-esteem, you have a good sense of self, you're healthy. It leads to mental and emotional healthiness. Fear and apathy, that's bad stuff. And that's where depression comes from. Our society, that's where the helplessness comes from, the learned helplessness. I can't deal with this, I have to get an expert to deal with this. If you need an expert to deal with things in your life, chances are your life has become too complicated and could be simplified some. Now, the basic survival needs are root chakra issues. I said that. Issues directly related to sustaining life itself. The higher needs, like emotional needs, intellectual needs, and spiritual needs, need a solid foundation if they are to flourish. They're needs too, but you know what? They're at risk if you don't have that solid foundation. Any way you look at it, guys and gals, start thinking about the root chakra. Think about integrating, energizing, activating the root chakra energies so that you have a strong base, that your feet are on the ground and that you're thinking according to your situation in life, so that you're taken care, so that you're not living in a delusional world. Because that's what's happening. Cognitive dissonance is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's going to cause increasing violence in our society. And the only thing that can save us from that is basic competency, basic common sense to protect us from the crazy ideologues. After fulfilling those biological root chakra survival needs, personal prosperity and happiness are the natural goals to be achieved next. It's a steady progression. Solid foundation. This has been the tradition of this has been spiritual traditions through the ages. Solid foundation, solid foundation. Then you build, then you get up higher, then you go higher up the line. Basic competency in those three areas: general survival skills, basic self-defense skills, basic first aid skills will do more to build the solid foundation than anything else that you can do. Far more than a college education, far more than an intellectual or philosophical something that turns you into a living in your head. Remember the heart. Your heart is connected to both your mind and spirit, and is connected to your emotions and your physical needs. Your heart is the bridge. We need to start listening to that still small voice of conscience that speaks to us, that guides us, that is our inner compass, that will not steer us wrong. And stop listening to every external authority that comes around telling us what we need to think and what we need to believe. Thinking happy thoughts is not enough. And to produce values for others means you work from a position of strength. Remember, prosperity comes when you produce values and you produce things that other people want. It's not going off on something that you want but nobody else wants. Prosperity comes from sharing. Prosperity comes from producing. And it's hard work. Multiply your successes. If you have a hobby that's paying for itself, that's something to build on. If you constantly start at the bottom and you're broke and you're starting at the baby steps, that's hard. That's going to be hard. That's very difficult to break that barrier, that to take that to where it starts paying for itself. Find something that you do well. Find something that you love to do and you love to do well. And find a way that you get back something. For me, it was translating. I wanted to write and I wanted to write. And I tried writing and nobody was interested in what I wanted to write. So I translated and people were interested in what I was translating. Okay, I'm not translating anymore, but I'm sharing things that I've learned over the years, and writing it takes too long. I'm trying to move in a direction that's using these videos to share, to see if people are willing to support me. Which reminds me, these topics are for conversation, they're for debate. I appreciate any comments, any questions, any your own insights into these things. And give them a like. Subscribe to these advantages. These advantages are self-empowerment tips that you can choose to make use of on your own or not. But I'm putting it out there. And if you find them of value, if I am finally producing values that other people want and find valuable, let me know about that. Support me a little bit. Later on, I do have a page where you can support me, but I'm not worried about that at this point. I'm trying to just share these things, okay? Let's get back here. I kind of got worked off there. Multiply your successes. Don't start at the beginning each time. To earn prosperity through productivity requires deep thought and constant effort. Constant effort, deep thought. Did you know that the average person, their day is filled so completely, their calendar is filled so completely that what you would call free time, they're lucky if they have 2 hours in a day that they can use to move ahead, to get ahead for self-empowerment goals. If you find yourself with more than 2 hours that you can use for self-empowerment goals and moving ahead, you're extremely lucky. But here's the thing. Even if you use 2 hours out of the day to move ahead, to get someplace, you're going to get to your goal. You're going to achieve your goal. It doesn't need to be deny life, go out and, separate from everything. To start with that 2 hours. And it's constant effort. It's the steady dripping in the bucket that builds up. And it builds up and it builds up. And you can't stop it. That's if you want empowerment, that's what it is. One last thought here. By nature, a prosperous, happy life is an active and challenging life. It's an adventure. You're going to have challenges, you're going to have setbacks, you're going to have puzzles, you're going to have things you need to figure out, but it's going to be within your capabilities. Now let's face it, when you have competency, basic competency, that's enjoyable. That's enjoyable. I'm at that point where I've earned a certain amount of that basic competency, even though some of this computer stuff drives me crazy, but I'm working on it. Well, that's it for tonight. I'll see you next time.